This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.
I would have liked somebody else to be.
So as you can see, everybody has swapped round. So we've decided that wherever anybody lands, they have to play that character. So I'm going to hand straight over to Mr. Pickles, who is GMing tonight.
And we've won.
Medivac, you're playing Bartleby.
Cool. You're dead.
I'm playing Gulliver. Longshanks, you're playing Medivac. And Chuggerwugger.
That's fine, I just need to do all the budgie noises. So
Chuggerwugger, you're playing Hengist.
Oh, yes. I wanted Hengist.
Well, you should use your voice, mate. You're fine.
Let me just move everybody back into the correct places.
Would you like me to start my introduction whilst you're moving things?
Well, you can do now because, let me do my introduction. So, hello and welcome to this week's thrilling episode of Mythras. The party are 3 sessions into a adventure. I think this is a session 3 of the adventure. So things are going extremely well, as always. Everybody's in total control. Nothing has gone wrong at all. It's been so perfect, it's unbelievable, but I will tell you all about that once I've given the players an opportunity to say who they are and who they will be playing tonight. Go.
Hi guys, I am Chuggerwugger. My character is called Gulliver, no second name. He's an orphan, not originally from the realm where we're currently on. He travelled across here to improve his sorcery skills. He was actually looking for a sorcerer that he found that they knew about from a book, but unfortunately he hasn't managed to find him. But he has joined an order on this continent, the Order of the Kraken, which is one of the 4 sorcery orders. His particular order, that of the Blue, specializes in spells evolving around communication, transportation, and teleportation. He also uses lesser spells based on the folk magic realm, which he refers to as his cantrips, quicker to cast, not as powerful. As a sorcerer, he has the ability to shape his spells to how he wants them to be cast. He can increase the range, magnitude, power, number of targets that it will affect, or even combine several spell castings into a single cast. That is me, Gulliver, the sorcerer, and I shall pass on to Longshanks, EPG.
Thank you very much, Chuggerwugger. Hi guys, I'm Longshanks EPG. Tonight I'm playing the character Hengist. He is a noble warrior from across the sea, clad out in heavy armour, and he is recently, in the last month or so, he's bought a house and brought himself into the gentry in Lindo, which he's thoroughly enjoying. I think the party thoroughly enjoyed some of the dinner parties that he's held for them. But whenever we meet up in the Harry Hobgoblin, he's now starting to get a bit sneered at, which is starting to grate on him a little bit. So because he likes the hairy hobgoblin and he likes Basil. He likes the beer, but he doesn't like everyone looking down their nose. No, looking up their noses at him. Yeah, looking up their noses at him. He is the group's combat guy, sword, shield. He is probably yet to meet someone in this party that he hasn't failed to beat either through skill or just through sheer dogged endurance. And with that, I shall pass it on to Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, I guess. I play Bartleby Fumus, as always. He is our team's theist, serving Amriel, the white moon goddess. In this setting, there are 2 moons, and each one has a god or goddess. Bartleby is very devoted to Amriel, as he was once a bard, failed bard, or I wasn't successful bard. He was attacked by bandits and had his hands mangled, and the priests of Amriel saved him. So he's devoted his life to that church, the ideals, and communicating with his goddess because of that incident. He also tries to help others where he was helped before. He's learned how to heal, how to mend wounds, how to remove fatigue, minor ailments, as well as more powerful and debilitating things like diseases and poison. He can provide protection, glowing shields of Amriel's moonlit grace, all sorts of other things. He's not really a fighter. In fact, he's pretty much a coward who waves his little club around sometimes when the fight's already gone in favor of us. Bartleby is also one of our people who knows a little bit about trading and dealing with people on the streets, as he is from this continent. And he's also quite obsessed with stories of monsters, particularly goblins. And with that note, I'm going to send it on over to Medivac.
Why, thank you, Mr. Pickles. Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I play Hasra Khan. He's a nomad. He's from the northern steppes of this continent, Odes, and he hails from the Grey Ghosts nomads, which are, you don't see them because they just move with, you will not notice them passing. Once they've gone, you will not see them again, which is why he wears grey quilted robes as such. They're tight-fitting. That it's like people have said they're more like pajamas, to be fair, but they're not. They're lovely kitted robes over his head, all down his body. He loves his short spear. He's very good with this. He also fights with a scimitar. He's very athletic, and he's recently joined an order here, which is called the Order of the Brotherhood. What they do is they keep records of the changes that happen to nature and certain areas, well, all areas, to be fair. They've been doing this for generations, always tracking, seeing how people moving into areas, how it affects it, and just trying to establish and keep a balance of those areas. There can never be too much of one thing or another. So it's all about maintaining the balance. There was something I was going to say, but it's gone completely out of my mind. Yes, so with that, I shall pass on to inwils.
Thank you. Excellent. So thank you for that. Can you please remind me at some point that we need to do the pose for the thumbnail? Because it takes me ages to sort of like go through and find funny faces that you're all doing. So I just think if we just do one, right, probably after the break, and just take the picture, and then I know where to go for it. So please do remind me. Okay, the party have been hired by a local guild of merchants. The Guildmistress has been going around various cities over and through Odes, and for her yearly inspection, when she comes to the towns or the cities and decides how well the Guild of Merchants have been operating, also whether or not there's any other sort of like commerce that the guild could get involved in. And basically she spends the first morning or the first day going through books. She stays overnight. The next day she goes out into the town to meet various merchants and various stores there, and then in the evening there is a party, and then she moves on to the next city. And there's been some attempts at her life in certain other cities that have all been unsuccessful. The guardians have sort of like done their jobs really well, and the she has been to 50. She's been to 54 different cities already.
Scratch on her.
Without a scratch on her at all. Anyway, the party, Gulliver, Bartleby, Hasra, and Hengist, were hired to protect her. Protect her when she arrived, protect her through the night, through the streets of Lindo the next day, and then the party on the night. Now, when she arrived, the party were guarding in various places, and there was an assassination attempt that wiped out 2 of the footmen that were around, but luckily didn't kill the Guildmistress. There was some words uttered between the party and their employers, which the Guildmistress didn't take very nicely to, and that brought some tension between the employers and the employees. However, the party decided to stay and protect her during the night, and which was very exciting, and it got to the point that Hasra up on the roof did combat with an assassin who got a special on him and used his trip opponent to swipe the legs out of underneath Hasra, who then skidded off the roof and down onto the floor. Before doing that, the assassin managed to drop a vial down the chimney, and that broke off and filled the room with gas. Hengist dived in, managed to pick up the Guildmistress, and wanted to bring some of the sheets with her. So sort of like did that, and then on the way out stood on a sheet or something like that and promptly dropped the Guildmistress on the floor. She wasn't breathing, she looked very ill, so Bartleby came across and summoned a miracle from his goddess, the goddess Amriel, and tried to cure her of the poison she had ingested or breathed in, but sadly to no avail. And that is where we left it last week. So it's just going to take me a bit of time to get everybody up. Just to let you know, Gulliver, I have made you a new token for your.
Am I still ginger?
Can you?
Oh,
for all your efforts.
Oh, that's lovely.
Can you see that?
I can. I
Yeah.
can. Can I move it? I can. Oh no. I can't.
Now, hang on. I'm just rearranging, and then
Whilst you're rearranging, can I just remind everybody of the film Bodyguard? Do you know when Kevin Costner's sort of like saying, give me
and I'll always love you. That one.
and he's going about being protected, and one of his he says, oh, and I was also protecting Kennedy, and the other guy says, wait, didn't Kennedy get shot? And he said, not on my shift, he didn't. That's what happened here. I was asleep. I had done my bit. I saved her the first bit. It was shift.
Okay, you should be able to move it now.
I can indeed.
Yeah, but just to let you know, it won't transfer from session to session.
Can I just say, Hail Hydra?
Yeah. So
Wrong pillar.
let's just get rid of that. We don't need that on. So let me just sort of like reiterate where people are. Gulliver, I think you're inside.
I was just coming out. I had done my telepathic message to,
Yeah.
And they had started to run across, and I was heading out then. So
Okay, so we'll put you in the doorway. Hasra, you're underneath the walkway.
That's right. I was underneath the walkway looking at both
Not hiding.
Roof.
Not hiding though.
No,
Not
no.
hiding.
Well, once you discovered I could get under the walkway, it's a lot better.
Okay, and up here in you two people up here, you're in the corridor, and we do have a second map that I can just move you along to, which here is. Let me just do this. So this is where you two actually are at the moment, correct?
Playing Kick the Guildmistress.
Yeah, and the woman sort of like is behind you. Just to let you know, if you're watching the stream, all the grayed out areas the party can't actually see. So if I pretend to be Bartleby's token, that's all the players actually see on that map. They can't see anything else, just so you are aware. And if you were watching the stream earlier on yesterday when I did the prep for this, then please do not let any ideas out of the bag. Okay, so
although we shouldn't be in the stream ourselves, because then we see the
correct, yeah.
the GM layers.
I popped in last night and saw went.
I did.
He's being honest.
I did.
At least he's honest about it.
So if
And then he
Medivac,
thought, I'd better watch the vlog later on instead.
I logged in with Lisa's account.
if Medivac all of a sudden stops 2 inches from the pit trap, and said,
I think in future inwils, what you need to put in the actual title is players do not enter or something like that, just to stop people going in.
Well, no,
Do you want to know?
it helped me last time to go to the roof.
do you want to know? I have no worries about people coming in. Like I always say, it's your adventure.
Only enjoyment that you spoil is your own.
Well,
Didn't wave back.
Unless that's how people like to play the game, and in which case that's absolutely fine. So let's dive straight in to Bartleby and Hengist. So Hengist came out carrying the body, tripped, fell, put him on the floor. Bartleby, you cast the spell, and it looks like she is dead. It didn't have any effect on her at all. She's looking very pale, very almost like green around the gills. Her eyes are sort of like transfixed open, gazing straight up. Her skin is very sort of like clammy, and she's very pale and almost like in a cold sweat. There seems to be no movement there at all. There's no sign of breathing. Even when you've used your healing skill and checked for pulse, etc., there is nothing there at all. Either Bartleby or Hengist, what would you like to do?
Bartleby would get the sheet that was in there and put it over her so that people come in here, they won't be looking at a dead woman, dead state. And look to Hengist and say, one of us is going to have to tell our employers that we failed.
Yes. That's going to be an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Well, it doesn't seem like anything good is going to happen. Because why wouldn't they believe that we did this? Couldn't stop it.
We couldn't stop it. I don't think we should leave her here, though, in the middle of the corridor.
What's that?
Hello, Bob, Ben.
I said, put her in a cupboard.
Hengist and Bartleby, you hear from the end of the corridor a very familiar voice. If you remember last time you were up there, Hengist, there seems to be an elderly merchant, a man that actually is alive and kicking in the end room, and all of a sudden, as you sort of like talking, deciding what to do, he just sort of like shouts, "Keep the noise down! We're trying to sleep here."
Sorry, sir. And then he will whisper to Bartleby and say, "Perhaps we should just put her back in her room for the moment, and then talk to the employees in the morning."
I don't think that feels right to me. I'm not working with the gravediggers as some of my order do from time to time. I'm not used to what you do with dead bodies. I haven't even learned the rights of laying a body to rest.
No, you haven't actually. That is
I
true.
haven't been working with the gravediggers, Amriel. Hengist, I feel like we should tell somebody. Otherwise, we're going to get in trouble.
Well, yes, but we shouldn't leave her in the corridor for anyone to stumble across.
Okay,
we
so
should at least give her some dignity.
Okay, well, while you two think about what you might be doing, I'll give you as a quick thought about that. We'll nip outside and we'll go to Gulliver next, who's just coming out of the house.
Yeah, so how Gulliver left it, he had an alarm spell over the entrance to where Hengist went in, and it was actually Hengist who set it off.
Yeah,
which woke Gulliver because he was just there for magical protection at that moment. Soon as that happened, he actually did a telepathic link between himself, Gulliver, and then Hengist and Bartleby.
That is correct. Yeah,
because he didn't know which one was actually on shift at that time, because he knew that they were going to be doing. He didn't know how long he had been asleep. Anyway, he sent a telepathic message and said, "Somebody's going in through the thing. Get in there quick." And with that, he's set off as quick as he can. He does have a bit of a gippy leg from his fight with the necromancer, although it wasn't the necromancer. So he can't sprint. So he's going to be running as fast as he can. So his run is 17, but even then he can only do 2/3 of that. So it's going to be about 12. But he knows that they were going in across the actual
walkway.
So as he's going, he's still got his telepathic link with both of them, and he's going to send across to both Bartleby and Hengist, and he's going to be like, how many is there? Which way are they going? As he's running and sort of like getting a bit out of breath, and he's going to be heading up through this door.
Yeah.
And up the stairs when he gets through them, because he knows that that's the only way to.
Yeah. So there's a slight issue there, because when you come to that door quite naturally is locked. So it's sort of like it's been locked for the night. Hengist and Bartleby, you hear in your heads, "Which way have they gone? Quick, get after them!"
And then Gulliver's going to, as soon as he sort of like tries the door, and he'll wiggle the handle backwards and forwards a bit, and he'll then send a telepathic message saying, the door to the guild house, it's locked, I can't get in."
Can you not put echo on your voice?
No.
Just pretend to. Okay then. So Hengist and Bartleby, you hear that in your head, and Hasra, you will then see Gulliver coming out and hobbling along at breakneck speed up onto the thing. So it's your turn to act. Gulliver, just to let you know, your
just a little bit so I can hear it. Oh my god!
Just to let you know, your alarm at the back, do you know what I mean? Did not go off at all.
Right.
So the alarm at the back door there was no actual, nobody's walked over it yet, etc., etc. I've done it blue with a tinge of green round the outside.
Do you want to know something? It's probably the best token I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I thought I was doing really, really well with it, and
Can I make it really, really big? If I say, for example, I need to cover this whole area, can I make it really big? So...
Yeah, you could actually. You could make it absolutely ginormous if you wish. So yes, let's go back to Hasra. What would you like to do?
Hasra's been looking at the roof. He's not seen anybody come over.
Correct.
So what he's going to do is going to try to get back onto this walkway, and then he's going to try and get back on the roof.
Okay, then. So you're going to have to climb up the side of the building, and
Yes.
then up onto the walkway. So, are you taking your spear with you?
This is my thing. I mean, Hasra's been used to carrying his spear around all the time anyway, but he will be taking his spear, so it will be a little bit more difficult for him.
Yeah,
Still going to take it with him.
Yeah, it's because I presume it slots somewhere. Do you slot it across your back? Because
That's right. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, then. So yeah, roll your.
Put it in his belt last time.
Yeah, from behind.
Roll your athletics skill. Yeah, so you sort of like start to climb up, not as swiftly or as well as you would normally do with your added spear, but you manage to, and plus you're not really used to climbing buildings. You know, you're a lot more used to climbing trees and things like that, and so you get up onto the walkway, and when you get up to the walkway you can see Hengist and Bartleby. So now roll your athletics again, to climb up onto the roof. Yeah, and
There's a point of luck to change that. If you'd re-roll it, sorry, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you can re-roll it. Go ahead. Yeah, and you again after a sort of like a second attempt of losing your foothold, you sort of like get up onto the roof, and you have. Could you just roll a perception roll for me, please? And tick that for fumble. And you look around, and you sort of like in the darkness, because of course it's still dark up here, but even from the light from the street, etc., the whole rooftops from where you are they look absolutely empty.
I thought there was a chimney up here.
There's a chimney, yeah.
Yeah, I can't see it.
But apart from that, Mr. Pickles' best friend Max is here.
Hey, Max.
So yeah, okay then. So let's pop back to Hengist and Bartleby.
Bartleby will, looking very upset and kind of sweating a bit, will say, "I'll get the door. You do what you must, Hengist. You know better than I sometimes. I'll walk down to go get the door for Gilbert."
Yeah, and it's one of those old-fashioned places that it's locked with a key, but the key is on a hook next to the door. You know, it's not as if so anybody can sort of like come and go throughout the night, and you sort of like unhook it, and you sort of like twist it in the lock. It's a bit stiff, but you know you manage to open it without any issues. And you actually, let's move you to this one, because we can put you and Gulliver here. I'll reveal, because I don't think you can see much at the moment. Is that correct?
No.
But you should be able to now.
Yeah. As soon as the doors open, Gulliver, even though he can now speak, he's going to keep sending telepathic messages because he thinks it's cool. And he'll say to Bartleby only this time, even though he's got the link, I think he can say to separate people, he'll say telepathically, is Hengist with the Guildmistress?
Bartleby just nods. It's solemn.
And while you're there, as if she's probably heard the door open, just here there's a doorway, and the door opens, and the female merchant, the female woman a merchant who actually hired you, sort of like steps out. She seems to be in her nightwear. It seems to be in like a long nightie, but she's got like a cloak over that. She's bare feet, and you notice that her hair is all sort of like braided down one side in a massive plait, as if she's sort of like keeping it tidy and out the way, ready for tomorrow's big event. And she's carrying a little lantern, and the sort of like the bottom of the floor sort of like comes into illuminated, and she sort of like comes out. You think she's probably heard the door opening. She sort of like steps out and says, "Sorry," she says, "what is going on? There are people in the guild house trying to sleep. If you will spend your time out all night, then please have the common decency not to make such a noise when you are coming back in." Is the door shut behind you, Gulliver?
Gulliver will shut it behind him, but he'll shut it very sort of like carefully. As you know, sort of like turn the handle, close it, make sure that it's shut properly before releasing the handle. And then he'll turn around sort of like a bit sheepishly, and he'll say, "Sorry."
And then you notice the door directly in front of you, Bartleby, opens inwards, and the male merchant who nobody has asked these people their names ever since the beginning of the adventure. So hence why I keep calling them female merchant and male merchant. And he sort of like opens up it, and he sort of like similarly dressed in this long night shirt and a cloak and carrying a lantern. He hasn't got his hair plaited down one side, and he sort of like steps out and he says, "Is everything all right?" And the woman says, "It looks like we're having some kind of town meeting at the moment."
Oh, it's because everything isn't all right. There's been an incident.
And you notice that you suddenly see sort of like almost like visually the colour drain from her face, and she says,
Gulliver will say, when he sees that, he'll say, but don't worry, Hengist is guarding the Guildmistress."
Gulliver, you probably do know what has happened because you're telepathically linked to them. So even you would have got what's going on. And the woman sort of like says, "What kind of incident?" And the man says, "Yes, what kind of incident are you referring to?"
I tried.
"Oh, come in, Hengist." Gulliver will say, "Excuse me," and he's going to start heading up the stairs.
Okay then. So yeah, you can go up to the floor above. Hengist, what had you done? There's been some time, so it's just interesting what you've done.
Carried her back into her bedroom and put her in her bed, not to hide it, but just because he's thinking. He doesn't want to.
Okay, so as you pick her up and start to carry her across the walkway, Hasra, you probably do see her Hengist carrying her back, covered in the sheet, into the room. As you get closer and closer to the door, you definitely smell a very, very sweet, almost sickly smell. And if you remember beforehand, the room was full of some kind of vapor, and you figure that this is actually coming out of the doorway and into the night air. What do you wish to do?
he's going to stop, and he's not going to take her into the bedroom, because he doesn't know if this is like the second round of this vapor. So he's going to turn around and he's going to take her downstairs into the common room.
Okay, then.
Everyone else is.
So yeah, you sort of like take her back in and go down the stairs. So just quickly roll your brawn roll just to make sure you don't slip over the.
Does he pass Gulliver on the stairs?
Well, he probably comes back to the top of the stairs as you get there. So if there's something that you would like to do before he goes down the stairs, then that was totally acceptable.
As soon as he sees him, Gulliver telepathically to Hengist will say, Hengist, where are you going with her?
I was going to take her into the common room. This is Hengist thinking out. Well,
No,
yeah,
whispering. Sorry, what?
You can the telepathic link is two-way, so if you need to, you can.
Yeah, I think Hengist though wouldn't actually.
He wouldn't
know how to use it, so he probably whispers quietly, and that's what allows you to pick up your thoughts. You probably need to sit down with Bartleby and Hengist and sort of like explain how it works at some point, which would be something that you could probably do over a nice beverage later on. Yeah, so Hengist, you sort of like whisper it. Nobody's going to hear it, but in the same sense, it comes across telepathically as well.
So he's going to whisper, I'm not taking her back into her bedroom. There's still some residue of the poison in there. I was going to take her down into the common room.
Is there any other doors along this corridor?
Yeah.
We know that the one at the end is where that grumpy old geezer is.
So you can see that there's. Can you see the top floor now?
Yeah. So there's two on the right hand side. Any of them open?
These are all. There's a door here.
Right.
There's a door here. There's a door here.
I know that one. The one you've just pinged is the little storage room that Bartleby slept in.
And there's a door here.
Gulliver's going to go over to here, open the door and say, "In here with her." But he's going to say telepathically.
Hengist will whisper back, "You sure? That seems like hiding."
Well, let's put. Gulliver. Hengist sort of like says, "Are you sure that seems like hiding?" I'm trying to find the map that I'm on. Yeah.
But she's dead, Hengist. The only thing that we can do now is find out who's killed her. And if they know that she's dead, they're not gonna try again. If we can make them believe that she's still alive, then they're going to have another attempt, and if we might be able to capture one of them, or we could be able to tell other people, sort of like let people know where she's going to be, and try to find out which one is working for them.
Okay, while all that is happening, let's just nip over to Hasra, who's perched on the roof, and you see Hengist sort of like carrying the dead body in a sheet. I don't know, Hasra, whether or not you know that she's dead. I don't think you do.
No, I don't. I was
so
sending.
So you see Hengist carrying the Guildmistress across the walkway going towards the room, and then stop and then go back in, and he's carrying her like cradling her. It's not sort of like fireman's lift.
I'm so glad he saved her.
Yeah, and she's got a sheet over it. But could you just roll your perception again for me? There's something else that you might pick up. Unless you make... Oh, that's much better.
Much better.
Yeah, and while you're up on the the actual roof, and you observe this. You're probably more sort of like next to the chimney, and you notice that down here, you notice that just quietly watching Hengist with the body and the sheet go up and then turn round, you see that there's a town guard stood there with his lantern that sort of like sees Hengist in his armour as it glints off, go off, stop with this woman, cradling this woman with a sheet wrapped around her, and then stop and sort of like come back in. And he's just sort of like stood there. You can see his face because the lanterns. Make an insight roll for me, please.
Certainly. My best skill.
It is. You notice that if anything, he looks somewhat puzzled. He doesn't look alarmed. He doesn't sort of like look. Is sort of like thinking, oh, that was a dead body. He looks somewhat puzzled. That he's just seen a knight in shining armor carrying this obviously sleeping woman backwards and forwards across the walkway. And you notice that he's walking. He pauses for a while as Hengist goes back in, and he starts to make his way quite purposefully southwards towards the actual door. Yeah.
Is there any sort of like loose stones or loose tile on the roof I can pick up, and I want to throw it sort of down this direction?
Okay, so you'll need to make a brawn roll first to try to get a piece of tile off. Yeah, so just or very good roll. You managed to sort of like wiggle it a bit, and then so just make an unarmed combat roll, and you can't actually throw it here from where you are.
No, but I just want to put it behind him so he perhaps...
Okay then. So if you just make an unarmed combat roll, and then we'll see roughly where it lands. Yeah, so you sort of like slide it off. It actually hits one of these windows down here. You hear sort of like a thud, and then it crashes to the ground. But it has the desired effect because he sort of like whips round, and with quite a fluid motion. So he's got his lantern on a hook. He draws his long sword, and he definitely has poised there, looking for a sign of an attack. Let's now move back to Bartleby. You're down in the entrance hall, facing the guild, the female merchant and the male merchant, and they're sort of like looking quite baffled at you at the moment. And then what one of them sort of like says, she sort of like, he said, well, what's going on, Master Bartleby?
I can only tell you the truth that is present to me, that I know. I was awoken from my slumber, and I saw Hengist bravely emerging from the room of the Guildmistress, but it was filled with vile smoke, horrible fumes. So I called upon Amriel to try and cleanse her and cure her, like I had with the footman that was hit with the darts. But like the second footman, who I couldn't save, it was too late for me to exhort my goddess to save the Guildmistress.
And at that point, the female merchant says, "Sorry, save the Guildmistress?" And she's obviously looking for clarification. What is meant by save the Guildmistress?
I saw the vapors, and certainly those vapors were not good for her health. So I tried to tried to remove those vapors from her body with Amriel's grace, but it appears that it was not. It was fatal.
And the male merchant says, fatal.
And Gulliver says, because he's probably heard it telepathically, "Oh, there goes a perfectly good plan."
Fatal, as in dead?
That is what it appeared to be true to me. Yeah. But my cohorts might know more. I was awoken from my slumber. I think at least one of them must have seen the attacker.
I was dying. Can I just say I was dying for Bartleby to try and tell a lie because I just want to roll deceit. Because you could have bluffed your way through it. Just on a side note, can you please roll for me an insight roll?
Insight can do.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to type something to you.
You have a feeling you're about to get law sicked on you. And I'm sorry, that was a good plan, Chugga. I don't think Bartleby knew about that.
And they sort of that comes. I put it in Discord for you, Mr. Pickles. But that's what you notice. They sort of like both say, "You mean the Guildmistress is dead?"
That's exactly what I mean.
Oh no, the guy says. Oh no, my career. She died on our watch. And you notice that the woman is sort of like glancing around as if she's sort of like trying to think of a way. She says, "Could we sit her up? Could we sit her up and make it look like she's alive?" Could we artificially wave her hand as at the party?
It seems possible, but yeah.
Maybe we should get somebody to have a. Not that we doubt your expertise, Mr. Bartleby, but maybe we should get a second opinion.
Yeah, that's.
Hearing this, no, you actually won't hear that because it's not fun.
Yes, but yeah.
Let's getting a second opinion. It's dead of night, and perhaps my. Let's get a second opinion. How about Gulliver? He's always got a wise trick up his sleeve.
I think it's probably best to bring her down here. We don't want the whole guild house to know that she's dead. Perhaps we can, I don't know, lie about it.
I don't feel that is.
Mr. Bartleby, go and get your comrades and bring them down here with the, well, I was going to say Guildmistress, but I think we better say body. And the man says, he says, "Eliza, keep your voice down." And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry." So anyway, Mr. Bartleby, can you bring the body down here? Maybe we can get the Lindo's surgeon or something to come and, I don't know, or the high priest to resurrect or something. What? If you get resurrected, do you come back whole? Has she? And she looks at you and she says, "Is she still intact?"
Yeah, she's intact. I don't think I've ever been able to witness a resurrection from my church. They don't give those out for just anybody. I'll leave you to your thoughts, you two, on how to handle bodies. I'll go get my comrade.
Yes, yes. As quick as you can, Master Bartleby. As quick as you can. And they sort of like, they sort of like move the candlesticks off the bench, and so they said, "Oh, I don't know who we should actually ask to do this." Yes, Bartleby. What would you like to do?
I'm heading upstairs. My comrades.
When he comes through the door, Bartleby's going to say, Gulliver's going to say to Bartleby, "Are you sure she's dead, Bartleby?"
Yeah, as Bartleby comes up, you see Gulliver and Hengist sort of like manhandling this body around, trying to lie her down, and then you sort of like come up and sort of like say, and Gulliver says to you, it's still telepathically.
No, he'll
This is why, see, you need an echo, because then we know if it's echoey, it's telepathic.
I shall search for.
Can you put your hand up when it's? It's going to telepathic, not telepathic.
Are you sure?
That would be excellent.
Are you sure she's dead, Bartleby?
You feel pulse? Because if you can feel a pulse,
Hengist is just sort of stood there with it.
He's got the body still sort of like draped like a big baby in his arms, and he's just looking from one
and
to the other.
the head is like this.
It's just every so often an arm just like falls out from his grip and just like dangles there.
I don't know where to check for pulse, Bartleby.
she's dead, Gulliver, and I think we're in a very strange situation. I told the truth, as Amriel asks of her followers to do, and the two downstairs, they want us to lie about the death. They want to see you guys now.
Did any of them seem more shocked than the other one, or maybe happier?
Neither of them seemed happy. Shocked is probably the best way to put it. Maybe a trauma of the brain.
You hear from downstairs a whispered shout. "Mr. Bartleby, are they coming down?" And it's very carefully phrased as if, "Are you coming down?" Not "bring the dead body."
You did tell them that I wasn't on the. I wasn't at the time of the murder, didn't you?
Didn't matter. We're all equally responsible for the situation. Come quick, friends. We need to bring the body downstairs.
Okay then. So I take it that you're taking the body downstairs.
Yes.
Okay.
Although Gulliver can't carry it because he's. I don't think he can actually manage the stairs with his gippy leg and carry.
No, it's all right. Hengist is carrying. Hengist is good at carrying. Brawn skill.
Thanks, Inwils.
Well, it's all right. You sort of
Can I
like
take minutes over it?
yeah. That's what I was going to say. You'll probably start to go down and sort of like see the importance of this moment, and almost like adapt yourself to be a little bit more
solemn, sort of like half steps. So there's one step and then the other step.
And you sort of like hear in the background.
Gulliver's going to when he goes down, he's going to try to look very solemn.
Roll your deceit, Bill. I had to get deceit in here somewhere. Yeah, you look really solemn.
Yeah.
With a massive grin on your face.
And while that's happening, let's nip back outside, because Hasra is having an interesting time with the town guard. So you took the thing, it didn't go very far, but the town guard is now moving to here. He's got the lantern out, his sword out, and he's sort of like when you peer around a corner, so not to sort of like reveal himself, and he's sort of like looking around the corner. What would you like to do, Hasra? muted,
Or dead.
Microphone not working.
or both.
Or both. Is he actually? Let me check the camera, make sure he hasn't gone off. Hang on, he's playing WoW.
Still can't hear you.
Classic. Hasra.
Microphone's unmuted, but we can't hear you.
He's broken it again.
No, we still can't hear you.
You've been messing about with it.
He has.
No.
No, he's figured it out. No.
No, still nothing.
Well, look, I tell you what, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you once you get it. Preferably by the time we get to the break would be wonderful, but if not, we'll go from there. Okay, so Hengist.
Why is it not working?
Yeah, it's working now.
It's working now. Oh, how random is that? I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you're just playing with us. Yeah, so what would you like to do?
Oh, you're gone.
I'm joking, it's fine. And Hasra will be he's there, he's watched this guard. He doesn't want to give his position away. He's just going to stay by the chimney and just watch what this guard's doing. He doesn't want him to check out his suspicions because he knows his friends are wandering around with this Guildmistress. And there's been an attack, and we want to find out who's done it so we can protect the Guildmistress first.
Yeah, so he gets to the end and sort of like peers round, and he sort of like has a couple of glimpses round and sees there's nothing there, and he sort of like steps completely out into the sort of like the area. I'm just going to. I've got a guard. I can't. Oh, we could have a suited guard. We could have a security guard, but we won't. Let's have Otis the Guardian.
Oh wow!
It's just as a placeholder, so we know exactly where he is. Yeah. So and then he sort of like has a look round the outside, and he sort of like sees that there's nothing there, and sort of like resumes his process that he was doing, his progress, and he sort of like sheaves his sword and starts once again to walk down towards the doorway. Is there anything you would like to do?
Hasra will again carefully try and pull another tile. This roof's going to cave in. Another tile. He'll be like, "You damn!" And he's going to try and pull another tile out and repeat the process himself.
Okay, so yeah, roll your brawn roll for me to pull the tile off. Yeah, so you sort of like pull the tile off. Whereabouts would you like to try to throw it?
I want to try the same place, that direction again.
Yeah, so you the furthest you can get it is here because of this corner.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it? Yeah,
it's more just trying to distract him, and I'm hoping, I was just thinking that if he repeats it again, perhaps the guard will now investigate more.
Okay then.
And so you want my unarmed combat, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Oh yes, that's what I'm best at.
Do you wish to re-roll it at all?
No.
Okay then. So you sort of like chuck it, and it sort of like hits the corner of the there's almost like the guttering, and sort of like clicks over, and the guard actually notices it fall from up above as it hits the floor, and he does turn round and he draws his sword once more, and keeping his lantern sort of like up, he starts to go backwards, as if there's probably somebody up here, and he sort of like walks backwards underneath the thing, and you can see him coming out the other end. He's looking that way a lot time. Roll an insight roll for me.
Oh, wrong one, sorry.
How can you get insight to locale?
It's right below it.
Yeah, you figure he seems to be looking maybe for another patrol that might cross over at this point. Right, let's go back inside. Hengist, you've brought down the dead Guildmistress, and yeah, like you were saying beforehand, as you put her on the table, her hand goes like that. It's like quickly, and you notice that the female merchant, who the guy called Eliza, is sort of like going, oh no, oh no, oh, she looks very, very, very dead indeed.
Gulliver's good to say. Whoever killed her, there was strong magic involved.
Oh no!
There would have to be. Both entrances to her sleeping chambers were protected by my magic, and the only person that triggered them was Hengist when he went in. There was no other entrances into the place, and we had our best hunter tracker on the roof.
The male merchant turns to you, Bartleby, and says, "Can't you do something here? Can't you, I don't know, breathe life into her?"
I'm just an initiate of the faith. I'm not as powerful as the highest priests.
And she says, "Now he tells us, Boris, that he's initiate. Maybe we should have got some more powerful people. What can we do?" And Eliza turns around to everybody and says, "Right, suggestions."
We can. Well, with enough gold, I would have thought that there would be somebody at the temple who could maybe bring her back to life.
Is that?
Don't exactly just throw that out for anybody, Gulliver. It's.
But you could pull some strings, Mr. Bartleby. I'm sure you have various people or divine people prepared to do a miracle for you.
I could ask, but I have no guarantee that they'll see a moral reason to bring back any given person. A guildmistress they might even look down upon.
Oh no! What are we going to do?
I can ask. I can ask in the morning.
We could find out who wanted to kill her. I know it's a bit late, but at least you'll know who within your.
Well, at least we have the person who killed her, but maybe we can interrogate or something like that.
Yeah, but well, we don't have them yet.
Boris goes, "Yet?"
Well, I didn't actually see them myself. I was asleep.
Right, Master Hengist and Mr. Bartleby, are they tied up upstairs? Could we, maybe slap them around a bit, get them to tell us who is behind all this?
I'm afraid I saw no one. I was my colleague Hasra on the roof called out, and I ran into the room, and the room was full of some horrid vapour.
It's just like pass the book to the person who's not
me.
I didn't see anyone, unfortunately.
Oh, well, at least.
Otherwise, I would have caught them.
Well, it is good that Master Hasra will have the culprit. Has he got him?
I haven't heard from him for a while. I'll see if I can find him.
Yes, Hengist, what would you like to do then?
So Hengist is going to go and try and find Hasra.
Out the front or up the stairs?
Well, he was meant to be on the roof, so he's going to go. He's going to go up the stairs and go into the balcony.
Yeah, so Hasra, as you saw the guard slowly backing up, his sword drawn, almost like coming to this position, you hear Hengist sort of like a psst, psst, to you from inside.
Gulliver's going to ask while this. He's going to say to the two merchants, who else knew about your guildmistress's movements, where she was going to be at what times?
Who are you addressing it to? So I know.
I'm addressing it to the lady.
Eliza, yeah. Eliza sort of like looks at you somewhat puzzled and says, well, everyone? We didn't keep anything a secret. We had employed and paid for the best guards in Lindo to be on the case and protect her. We didn't feel that secrecy would be needed with such a brave band, and I mean your fame goes before you.
We did our best, but sometimes things are just outside our control.
Well, at least we have the person. It'll be good when Master Hengist comes back down with Master Hasra, and we maybe can get a clue to who is organising this. Yeah, Hengist and Hasra. Yeah, so Hengist and yeah.
As soon as Hasra sees or hears Hengist's psst, he will put up his hand and then go like that, and then he will point downwards towards the guard.
Yeah, and Hengist, you sort of like have a sneaky peek out, and you see that there is indeed a guard that's sort of like, I'll put him on this map as well so you can see. He's currently there at the moment. Can I just say that it was either that guard or this guard, and one looks slightly out of place. Yeah, so you can see the guard down. You don't sort of like stick your head out. You just sort of like have a quick look and sort of like nod back to Hasra.
What Hasra would like to do is, once the guard is, I'm assuming the guard's just looking back left and right.
Yeah.
Never assume anything.
What sort of, is he going looking there for a bit, or is he like flip? Because what I was trying to do was drop myself back down onto the bridge and then scuttle across into the building.
Okay then. So that.
But I don't want the guard to see me. I want to time it between.
Yeah, that'd be. That's why we have a stealth skill. So you can augment your athletics with your stealth in order to drop down quietly and silently and get back into the thing. One roll will do it.
Right, so 16 on top of my athletics.
Oh, you could have used the augmenting skill that somebody gave me.
Sorry. Here we go. Augment. So my. Hang on, how does this work then? Because
so you put
your skill that you're going to be. That's
so you type in your stealth skill.
So my stealth skill, right? Okay.
And then if you press it, it'll come up in the chat.
0. So my stealth skill is Okay, let's see if this works. Oh. Modern technology.
So you get you're upping it by 15%.
16. Sorry, I thought it was 16. There we go. Doesn't matter.
Oh, it's good job we used it.
Yeah. I thought it was 84 actually.
Yes. Right. So do I now type that back into my?
So you type that into your temporary skill slot, and then so you sort of like quite deftly sort of like drop down even with your hard roll with your spear, and sort of like drop over the side and get into the other room. Is the plan there for Hengist and Hasra to go down the stairs?
So before we go down the stairs, Hengist will whisper to Hasra and say, "What happened? Have you caught the assassin?"
Did you not see me fall from the roof when I shouted you to get her out?
I heard "get her out," and then I just ran into the room. I didn't see anything after that.
He tripped me and I fell onto off the roof. I was looking out to break my leg. It's such a high fall, but luckily my athletic skill saved me.
Well, that's not going to go down well.
Did you not see anybody come this way?
No one came this way.
But she's alive, isn't she? That's the main thing. You got her out in time.
No, that's why it's not good.
Drop her again. Get your Hengist.
She was dead from the poison that was in the room.
I wondered what that person put in the chimney.
You mean you saw the person put the thing in the chimney? You didn't stop them?
I was kind of slipping off the edge with my fingers grasping at the guttering. What was I to do?
Gulliver and Bartleby.
I was told there was no need to wash the roof. So, who is the fool here?
Well, that's not going to go down with the employers.
Gulliver and Bartleby, just roll perception skills because I've rolled it for the other two people. Gulliver, you can't hear anything, and neither can you, Bartleby. But you do notice that the other two are sort of like having glances at each other. Hasra and Hengist, you've had this conversation now. What's going to be your plan?
So Hengist is going to say we better go downstairs, and he's then going to walk downstairs back into the main meeting room.
Is Hasra coming along?
Oh, Hasra will be coming along, yeah.
And you sort of like come down, and Gulliver and Bartleby, you sort of like see them coming down, and Gulliver, you sort of like have a slight frown on your face or whatever, and you look at the.
You look to Hasra. No, you look to Hengist.
And then when Hengist gets down, he says, Hasra has filled me into like a hush whisper because this whole conversation is. He says, I've spoken to Hasra. He didn't manage to catch them. They pushed him off the roof before he could stop the assassin.
Sorry, the assassin got pushed off the roof?
No, the assassin pushed Hasra here off the roof.
Oh. And they look at you, Hasra, and say, you got pushed off a roof?
Yes, it's not exactly like a tree or a cliff face. These town village buildings of yours are slippy and slidey. I mean, I went up on the roof of my own instinct, thinking, and to be fair, I'm glad I did because I thought, this man creeping up to me, where I thought I could stop him, but sadly, his skills were far greater than mine, and he was able to overbalance me and throw me off the roof. I was lucky to be here to raise the warning as I fell.
And Eliza sort of like looks at Boris, and Boris sort of like leans over and said, well, we know from beforehand that he did not like the Guildmistress at all. Remember how he spoke to her? And Eliza sort of like looks around and says, did anybody else see this invisible assassin apart from Master Hasra?
Hasra wouldn't lie. I can promise you that.
Yes, maybe some kind of truth spell is in order here. Yes, I see what you... And Boris sort of like leans close and sort of like covers his mouth and sort of like whispers into her ear. And she goes, an invisible... an unseen assailant. And dead. And she looks down at the Guildmistress and says, and a dead guildmistress, and a rather angry. Yes. So, Mr. Bartleby, will a resurrection be in order here?
I will.
There is just to let you know, there is a slight smell from the body as bowels and bladder has been relieved now of this dead body, and there's a bit of drool dripping from her mouth as well.
Gulliver was going to say, but we can still find out who tried to kill her.
Yes, but we are without a guildmistress, Miss young Gulliver. How are we going to convince her entourage or anybody that she's actually alive? And in Lindo, out of all the places she could have died, she died not only in Lindo but in our building.
But is the tomorrow when her next part is to go round the city, and she goes round in a carriage.
A sedan, yes. A sedan chair.
It's covered. People won't be able to see her.
Are you saying we should put the dead body in a sedan chair and carry her through the streets of Lindo?
No, but we have somebody else in there, and then if the assassins think that
I'm dreadfully sorry, young Gulliver. I don't think Master Hengist will pull the deed off.
Well, maybe someone like yourself.
So, me?
Well,
that was Boris, by the way. Boris goes, me?
No, I was thinking of the lady.
Eliza says, you want me to impersonate the guildmistress?
Only if you want to find out who tried to kill her, and maybe have the honour within the guild of being the person who brought the killers to justice, then.
And you notice this realization dawn upon her face, and she says, are you suggesting that I should be bait?
Kinda. Well, not bait, but it's like you say, Hengist doesn't have the figure, and I'm too small and ginger, and Bartleby, well, he won't do it because he doesn't lie.
And I have this black arm.
She sort of like puts her head down for a minute. She says, explain your plan, Master Gulliver.
Well, the plan is that we don't let on that she's dead, and the assassins are going to try again, and we're just going to go round. We're going to go round the town, but we're not going to make the other stops. But what we are going to do, when we get to I believe from part of the route that you'd suggested, it was in the more rougher part of town, the old town, where the guards are. If they're going to try again, it's probably going to be there. And then when they attack, of course we'll protect you, but we also might be able to apprehend one of them. And
you will protect me how you protected the guildmistress. Boris says, Eliza, I think it's too dangerous. I think it's too dangerous. I don't think you should be putting yourself in dangerous situations like this.
I was asleep.
Yes, young Gulliver, we have clarified that you were asleep. Well, you should have been out watching.
I did have alarm spells set up.
Yes. So, and then how... Say, for example, young Gulliver, your plan is miraculous, and I managed to pull off the deception, and you lot manage to defeat and, dissuade secret invisible assailants, and you rescue me, and we find out who's behind this. when do we tell everybody that the Guildmistress is, well, and she sort of like covers a hand over her mouth as if shielding it from the dead body, is dead.
It's kind of good news, bad news type of thing. It's sort of like, oh, unfortunately the Guildmistress is dead, but look.
Oh, Boris, what do you think? Well, Eliza, I will be very concerned that you are not only posing as the Guildmistress, but also, putting yourself in mortal danger. I mean, let's face it, there's been 2 attacks on the Guildmistress so far. The first one was almost successful, and the second one was...
I saved her the first time.
Yes, hence the almost. We lost 2 footmen in that attack.
Is the carriage covered?
It's an enclosed sedan chair with curtains either side and 4 footmen to lift it up and carry it.
Is there any way that we can start her or start the journey where she would already be in it, or somebody else would already be in it? Because if that's the case, then we could have somebody the same weight.
But what happens if the people, the owners of the shops that we are visiting, what happens if they demand audience? There are some very influential people that we're actually taking the not taking the Guildmistress now, but taking her around. What happens if they demand audience? What could go? What should we do then?
We deny it and say that her time is very precious, and that she has an urgent meeting with somebody, and that if they have an issue with it, they can have an audience with her at the party later on in the day, but by that time hopefully the next attempt would have been made and you've caught them. It's the best I can come up with.
Eliza and Boris seem to be coming round to your way of thinking, Gulliver. Roll your influence skill. Oh,
18 out of 61.
Yeah, very nice. And they seem to be nodding and agreeing, and they sort of like exchange glances with each other. And then just as you're all sort of like pondering this and talking, a voice almost like comes across into the room, very loud and very brusque. It's definitely a female voice, and she sort of like, you hear her say, "Oh my God, not another one!" And you notice that the Guildmistress appears from here, and she sort of like looks at the dead body, and she talks. She turns to Eliza and says, "You really need to take more care. I do not have many more decoys left, if any at all."
You hear Gulliver sort of like almost under his breath saying, "I was asleep."
And Eliza and Boris are sort of like going like this, and Eliza says, I thought you were dead, Guildmistress." And she sort of like says, "Well, when you have," and she sort of like stares at Hasra, "when you have a dangerous life as mine, you take certain precautions. Now I have just lost another one. Do you realize how much money and a down payment you have to buy these people for? The amount of alterations they go through just to look close to the beauty that shines from my face. And now it would appear that we have, well, ruined another one. And she's very much talking about this dead person as if it's a piece of trade, as if it's just some kind of thing to throw away. It's definitely not a golem or anything like that. It is a woman, and the woman is dead. But she's referring to it as if it's like a lump of flesh, and almost as if it has monetary value, and she seems to be a lot more concerned about the monetary value of it and the hard work she's put into it, rather than, good grief, there's a dead person. And she sort of like turns to Eliza and Boris and says, you definitely need to either pay these people more, because I suspect their guarding duties have been lapsed due to the small amount of money you pay them. Please, don't let this happen again. Increase their bill, increase their coinage. I do not want to be killed next time. And she doesn't even wait for anything. She just sort of like turns off and goes down the corridor, and you hear a slam of the door, and Eliza sort of like turns to you and says, so how much more do you think she was talking about? And at that point we will have our break for the evening. So if you're watching the stream, we're going to take a quick 10-minute break when we go off, and just grab something to eat and a quick beverage. Do the same, please. Go and get have a walk around, have a bio break, grab something to eat, and we will be back at in 10 minutes, which would be 42 minutes past the hour. Until then, don't go away. Well, do go away, but come back and we'll see you then. And be right back. work your way up, you know, in your crafting skill to actually make a well-made sword, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah.
You know, I like the idea. We are live now, so just so you know. So yeah, so we just to bring everybody up to speed rather quickly. It would appear that the Guildmistress had a decoy that was killed last night. She is quite matter of fact about it all. I said beforehand that she sort of like sees it as a produce, a piece of commerce, that rather than a living person. And she commented about how difficult and how much it costs, you know, because obviously there might be money up front or there might be money given to the family. So if the person dies, there's that money. And quite maybe unexpectedly, or maybe you were expecting it, at the end the Guildmistress almost like sided with you, as in the party, and said that Eliza and Boris had obviously not given you enough money to fulfill the deed of guarding the Guildmistress. She almost like felt as if they had skimped and saved, and because there wasn't enough money given, you quite naturally did a poor job because of the lack of money. And her final comment was, you know, the Boris and Eliza should actually pay you more to make sure that you do the job well. And just as before we went to the break, if you remember, Eliza turned round to you quite honestly and quite in earnest, and turned round to you and said, you know, how much money would you need, you know, to ensure that things go slightly better. So I'm just popping hers back. Just so you know, Boris's full name is Boris Beckoncall. So Beckon call, a bit like Beck and Call, but Beckoncall, Boris Beckoncall. And Eliza is called Eliza Elmsworth.
Well, not Doolittle.
No, and just so you know, not in the last stream that I did, but earlier on, those were named by the people who were watching. I didn't actually name them. So yeah, I was talking about giving that option on Patreon, but I was saying in the stream last night that I get really worried that somebody wants to call somebody a really stupid name that doesn't sort of like fit in. Anyway, those are yeah, they've had those names for quite a while. Nobody sort of like said at any point, sorry, what is your name? So yeah, so Eliza Elmsworth sort of like turns around to you and says, so how much more money would you be needing, or how much money is required? And Boris Beckoncall is sort of like looking eagerly but somewhat concerned. Now I think the original price was, how much was it? 4,000. But did you increase it?
Yes, I increased it to the maximum that we could get.
6,000.
6,000.
Okay, then.
Noted here.
So she is now turning around to you and saying, so how many more silver pieces would you be requiring?
We made the agreement of 6,000 and...
Yes, but obviously, this is Boris. Sorry, Boris says, but obviously we underestimated how, you know, we should have realised, being merchants, and there is a strong correlation between the amount of money you spend on something and the quality that you get, and not being. And Eliza says, what Boris is trying to say is that we feel that we might have not given you enough. So I think this is the time, and she looks down at the dead body, probably for honesty. We agree. We were trying to get you for the cheapest amount ever, and now obviously this has happened, and we understand that, you know, for your best protection, we need to be less tight with our coinage. So yes, tell us what is your normal price for the rest of the job? If we say, you know, 6,000 was the going price, what? Be realistic to us. We want your top quality, your, you know, for that top of the range protection for our beloved. And she looks over at the corridor when the Guildmistress came out, and almost like speaks a little bit loudly, for the protection of our beloved Guildmistress, like this, and turns back to you, waiting, sort of clutching her cloak more tightly. You notice that they keep moving their feet slightly because it's a bit cold on the stone floor.
This is not my forte. This is not my what I do, but just pay for the service you expect from us. You pay what you think, what you would like us to do. You pay.
We would like to implore you to protect the Guildmistress and not let this happen.
You pay to the value of the quality you want. Then we don't know what quality you want. Do you want 3,000 coins worth of quality?
Yes.
Do you want more?
We actually do not know. We are merchants, and we totally accept now that 6,000 was probably not for the quality. We want your guarantee. So how much do you brave guardians of beloved Guildmistresses, how much to guarantee our beloved Guildmistresses' protection?
I'm going to pass you on to my friend Gully here, because a few moments ago you were accusing me of killing the Guildmistress, and to be honest, that is disillusioned my opinion of you.
Oh, I am so sorry, Master Hasra. Do you feel happy to continue the job under those accusations?
The job is the job. It's the accusation that really drives, that hurts. But I will always do the job to my utmost ability.
Mr. Hasra, you must understand, when you talk of assailants that nobody saw but yourself, and we have this, you could probably understand. Although you are not used to the ways of the civilized people, you know.
That much is true, but in my people, our word is our bond that we.
Yes, I have heard that animals behave somewhat differently in the wild. We understand this, but in civilized situations like this, it becomes that we talk about something, and she almost like starts talking, slowing down over the big words. We talk about something that is known in civilized evidence. And evidence is when we pull together what we know and then draw to a conclusion.
I'll stop you there, lady. This is all nonsense to me. Your word is your bond, as simple as that. But Gully over there, is my friend. He will assist you with what you need.
Yes, and in civilized world, I'm afraid we have gone beyond the word is our bond. In civilized places, we talk more about money. So, how much for guaranteed, and she sort of like does this on a hand, guaranteed protection of the Guildmistress?
Well, nothing is really guaranteed, but
Boris says, well, look, as close as we can get then.
an extra 200 silver pieces each.
Only 200? The Eliza says, and Boris sort of like stares at her and says, well, if 200 each, that's 200 each, which would make a grand total of 1,600 silver. No,
800.
Yes. Well, if
An extra 800.
And she says loudly, so if an extra 800 silver pieces will guarantee the Guildmistress's protection, then I am sure we can come to that. And Boris says, oh, yes, I am happy to shake on that. 800 seems a fair amount.
There is a condition.
And he sort of like goes, a condition?
Yes. If we are successful, which we will be, that my share of the 200 you give to the family of.
Oh. Well, I'm sure we could arrange for that. I'm not too sure. And she sort of like covers her mouth over like this, as if she's shielding it from the dead body. We don't know who she is, but I'm sure we can find out.
Are you saying that the life of your Guildmistress isn't worth finding out and upholding?
Of course, Mr. Gulliver, we will find out as much as we can. Is everybody in agreement with 200 silver pieces? I know brave young Gulliver here wishes to donate his side to the body's parents and family. Will the rest of you be taking the money, or how we shall I just put it onto your total amounts?
I think it's a noble gesture that Gulliver has done. I mean, it's only coinage, so yes, give mine to the young lady's or ex-lady's family.
Boris says,
it's good to my heart. Yes.
Boris says, just one moment, and he goes toddling off to his room. That he comes out with a piece of paper and he starts sort of like inking out the sort of like the agreement, and Eliza says, and Master Hengist and Master Bartleby, will you be donating your additional amount, or will you want a coinage adding to your overall value?
Send it to the family.
Mr. Bartleby, do you need to roll a deceit roll at that point?
It was only going to go to the impoverished of the city anyways.
Oh, right. And
so who can use it more, the living or the dead?
And Mr. Hengist?
Yes, my share can also go to the family of the decoy.
But Boris sort of like says, I think that's a very... How noble you all are. How noble you all are, giving your additional share for guaranteed protection to this family, the family of this young body girl. I think it's quite noble of you. And Eliza says, but, Master Gulliver, I am interested in your plan that you mentioned. Maybe this is an opportunity to lure the assassins out to the open.
But that was the plan.
I really like that plan. This is Eliza talking, sorry. She says, I really think, and Boris says, Eliza, do not put yours... She goes, Boris, this might be the only chance that we can get revenge. Sorry, we can find out who these assassins are. Tell me more about your plan, Master Gulliver.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't think we would be using the Guildmistress to do it, but my plan was that we would carry on like we were, and they would think that she was still alive, but she is still alive. And they would make another attempt on her life, and then we would apprehend them and bring them to justice.
Aye. And Boris sort of like looks at her very worried, and she says, Boris and I have a suspicion.
What of who it could be?
Well, there is somebody who, well, we do believe he has been making certain advances within the other towns, making some very behind the scenes contracts. I am not too sure if you have heard of him. He very rarely leaves his own guild house, but his name was, or is, sorry, Laszlo III. There has been some strange contracts made that we have heard about, and she's whispering and is really in close despite the dead body that's in between you. He has been making some very strange contracts, and there was a rumour, and please, it is but a rumour, I cannot verify it, that one of our merchants actually saw him in Lindo some day, or a couple of days before the Guildmistress arrived here. We are somewhat suspicious. I am not too sure whether or not you've heard of Laszlo III, but he is second in command, and if anything was to happen to the
He becomes interim leader.
Well, yes, he will become interim leader. However, if the vote goes for him, then he will actually become the leader. Is somebody clicking dice?
Yeah, it sounds like somebody's typing.
Very slow. Is somebody playing World of Warcraft?
It's either Longshanks or me, and I know it's not me.
I was going to say, I'm muted.
Two mics that were unmuted, so I know it's not me.
It is me, sorry.
So she sort of like, she says, yes, if he, in an interim measure, he could actually call a vote, and with enough, shall I say, support from the other merchants, then he could be put in the position of power permanently. Boris says, Eliza, I need to tell you something. What is it, Boris? He has been here. He came to see me. He came to see you? Why would he want to see you, Boris? Well, he wanted me to try to convince you to vote for him. Did you not think this was important, Boris? Why did you not tell me this? I'm sorry, Eliza. I got so confused and so busy. I was so busy with the preparations that it got. Well, you need to put the important things first to me, Boris. And this, I am so sorry for his ignorance.
It might not actually be. It might not actually be all bad. But Boris might.
Did you like that bit of role playing? I thought.
But Boris might be able to redeem himself and maybe even help us apprehend whoever's trying to kill the Guildmistress.
So, the plan would be, this is Eliza, sorry, for me to take the position of the Guildmistress, correct?
Well, yeah. Well, yes. There's more to the plan now. With what Boris has just said, if we have an idea of who it's going to be, then we could actually get Boris to maybe go and have a word with Laszlo, and on the pretense that he's talked to you and that he's managed to convince you that that if anything was to happen to the Guildmistress, then you would vote for him as well.
Oh, to provoke an attack.
Which would then, which was meant to be thinking that yes, it would provoke the attack, and we could maybe even say that the route had been changed, and or something like that to try to get an area of that.
What an excellent idea. And I could pose. I have some very similar attributes to the Guildmistress. I understand, but probably with a. Although my face she is not as good looking and it was blessed as much with my facial features, but maybe a heavy cowl might be able to protect or hide me as I get into the sedan.
Well, that's what I was thinking. But the other thing that I thought might be wise is, I don't know whether or not you know anybody within the guild who specialises in armour, and maybe you could wear some thicker clothing, maybe some leather armour, just in case they try to.
Master Gulliver, you amaze me with your strategic knowledge and understanding of these matters. I think you are quite right. I think some kind of protection. And she sort of turns. What about the footmen? Should we bring them in on our plan or keep them ignorant?
No, nobody should know apart from the people that are in this room. Because the more people that know, the more. I used to live in an orphanage, and once somebody knew about something, if, for example, hypothetically, somebody had wet the bed, and
she sort of like frowns as if to think, and this has what to do with the
and somebody found out, then before you knew it, everybody within the orphanage would know that somebody had wet the bed, and they would all be like, Gulliver wet the bed, Gulliver. Oh, somebody.
I suggest we let us, Boris, the map, and he sort of like brings out a map from his room and sort of like looks at how to put it on the table with this dead body, and she says, "Sorry, is it possible for somebody to relocate this?"
Did she have a name?
I thought she was the Guildmistress. Just to let you know, there is a surprising resemblance between the Guildmistress that you saw and this body. To give you an idea how similar they were, you would probably only notice a difference. First of all, if you were suspicious of the difference, and if you got a critical perception roll or a critical insight roll. Okay.
So if one was dead.
double cross that this is actually the Guildmistress still, and the person that came.
Well, it could be, but you. I was trying to figure out, letting you realise how similar.
Yeah.
The two actually look, and maybe the insight might have been for something that she did differently, or the way she used her words differently, or something like that. And the perception might have been from how she carried herself, how she walked, or something like that. So facially, they look absolutely identical to the stage that, I mean, Hengist, when you picked her up, you didn't think, oh, who is this person? You completely, yeah. And they sort of like looked down and said, could somebody please remove her or put her somewhere else, or we could adjourn to another room.
Maybe that's best.
Okay, Mr. Bartleby, can you sort of like, and she sort of like makes a waving gesture with her hand over, as if to say, can you please do something that theists do, and they and is there anything you would like to do, Bartleby?
Well, there's not a whole lot I could do other than do a standard prayer to Amriel.
Yeah, I think that
it wouldn't have any like magical benefit similar to lay to rest or perform a miracle.
No.
Just a hopeful.
Just roll your devotion skill for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sort of like make some gestures and you say a prayer, etc., etc., and then you accompany the people up to the upper floor where you can see that. Yeah.
Just before we go upstairs, I was just going to look at the body. Why are we leaving her here when if somebody walks in the door, they will see her? Why can't we put her in a room that is not occupied and maybe lock that door for the time being? Because if somebody walks in, then they will know that the Guildmistress is dead.
So yeah, but Eliza just sort of like keeps quiet, but Boris sort of like says, "Well, there is the storeroom, and I'll show you where the which map are you on? Upstairs, yeah.
We're on the upstairs one, yeah.
So this is the storage room. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's here. So she could be put in there. Out of the way. I'll just put her. Here she is. Look. There you go. And you adjourn it up there, and Boris sort of like says, "Oh, yeah, good idea, Mr. Hasra, well done." And sort of like goes up the stairs. So this is you can see how it is from the rest of the area. So you can see out here whereabouts you are, and
you mentioned a position on the map.
Yeah, and she sort of like traces the original route out, and she says, now when we actually planned the route, we had to make some decisions. We had to decide that some merchants got to see the Guildmistress and some did not. You mentioned something about going to the slums. Gulliver, do you think that is wise or not?
Had you planned to go to the slums?
Well,
that was on the route. We need to find somewhere that we weren't going to go, that everybody else thinks that we're not going.
Well, we would have to give... No, you're right. We do not have to give prior notice to the merchants. They will be pleased to see us. They have the Guildmistress, and although they've been turned down, imagine their excitement when they find that the Guildmistress, or who is really me, comes and visits them. So, let's see. And she points to an area on the map. Oh, yes. What about the bakery here called the Rising Dough? They were very upset when they found that the Guildmistress wasn't coming to their place, weren't they, Boris? Yes, he says, they did even try to give us several silver pieces. So let's go there. So from there, let's go to... Oh, she points to another place. Oh, Jasmine's place. Jasmine owns a perfumery. She sort of like turns to you, Hasra, and that's when ladies wear something very similar to musk that animals use, but a lot more sweet smelling. It is said that they even attract men quite effectively. Let's go to Jasmine's, the perfumery that is called the Sweet Lavender. And Boris says, what about here? Oh, yes, the Tiny Stitches. That is a tailor shop for tailor and dressmaking. Oh, I can imagine Marjorie's going to be extremely delighted to see us. And just next door, or just down the road there, is the Sugary Mouse. That's a sweet maker. And she sort of like says, "Oh, Hasra, we make sweets made out of sugar. Sugar is a sweet sort of like chemical that we make sweets out of here."
Is that the thing that makes your teeth go funny colours and fall out?
Well, it is said that some of the less reputable people in the slums, they can't afford sweets. They have what's known as tobacco, and they do chew it and spit it out. Boys goes and shudders when she says spit it out. Oh, look, and just here, if we, and she sort of like joins up the dots, and she says, look, and then stopping at this inn, the Restful Night. Hengist, you recognise the Restful Night. It's night without the K, but it's a reputable tavern. Well, it's more like Lindo's 5-star hotel. It's not sort of like the Hairy Hobgoblin. And she says, if we go to the Restful Night, and then that will complete the circuit. Master Gulliver, do you think that will give them enough opportunity?
All these places, they weren't on the original.
No, we cut them. Well, I must say, some of them had given us rather poor, trade rights. You know, as a guild, we do tend to take our percentage. Yes, it is Darth. It's Mr. Pickles' cat.
It's not Mr. Pickles' tail.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he wants us to think.
He said, Mr. Pickles' cat's tail is so distracting, it's great.
Mr. Pickles' cat is distracting, full stop.
Yeah. And he said, and Boy says, and look here, and they point to just close to the Sugary Mouse. There is an alleyway there. Maybe we can park there. That might give them an opportunity.
We can certainly try, but it's important that we do as much as we can to flush them out. And one of those things, as I say, is in the hands of you, Boris. You have a very important task, and your task is to go and see Laszlo.
I'm not too sure whether or not he's still actually in Lindo, but I could go to the tavern that he was staying at and seek advice if that is what you would like to do. But there is one thing that I must completely insist on. He says, I feel that I want to be with Eliza, no, don't be silly, boys. You know you are absolutely hopeless with anything apart from a quill. God knows what you would do with some kind of sword in your hand. He says, no, Eliza, I insist. If you are going to put yourself into mortal danger to help the Guildmistress, then I am sure that I would like to be part of it. You know, we don't want you taking all the glory.
Maybe you could help carry the...
You say that, and Eliza goes, Boy says, no, I'm sorry. I am not equipped to carry. My arms are not used to sewing.
I don't think there's enough room in the carriage for two, is there?
Yes, there is, says Boris.
Oh.
Especially if we get in rather close to each other. And he sort of like looks at you and raises eyebrows. It will be a tight squeeze, but we will be in there close to each other.
I think the important thing, Boris, and although your plan is very, very good, and you're very gallant wanting to protect this lady here, but I think it's important that we keep up the spectacle of the Guildmistress would actually react, and I don't think at any time she would have somebody.
Oh no, Eliza says.
And of somebody who is such a how can I put it, a status as yours.
No, Eliza sort of like looks at you all and says, it would either be myself or Boris that accompanies her around on the trip. That is customary. We then welcome and we tell her the names of the merchants and the businesses, and then she passes the judgment whether or not it should be accepted into the merchants guild.
Oh, in which case it's an excellent plan then.
I think either Boris will have to be dressed up as the guildmaster and I'm with him as her aide, or I am dressed up as a guildmistress and is that clear?
I think yes.
I think the second one would be a better idea.
Can I suggest one more thing? This is Eliza. I was just thinking, should we go at the time we are meant to go, or earlier?
Well, if we go earlier, it might force them to. Well, they might not have people ready, but also it might look suspicious if we go.
Or they may not be ready enough. Maybe they will not have time to prepare what they are normally. Maybe we can catch them unawares.
That's what I said.
Yes.
What do you think, Hengist?
Yes, I think that seems a good idea. The only problem we may have is the actual guildmistress. Because we don't want to be out and about and on our tour for her to come out at the pre-arranged time.
Good point, Master Hengist.
Then cause a problem.
I have a plan. If we go an hour early, we can just pretend that the transport has been delayed. It will only take us but an hour and a half to go around all the shops. Surely that will be enough time. And if I leave word with a footman that I just say to her that the sedan chair is being delayed, she will not leave the safe confines of the guild hall without it.
That's a good idea. And we can always do it politely, so hopefully she won't berate you later for it.
Oh, believe me, if we have saved her and caught the villain who is trying to kill her, there will be no berating.
Oh, that's
Probably
good.
just rewards.
I think we've got a plan. I think it will work. Does anybody else have anything to add?
No, I can't think of anything else other than we need to be hyper vigilant as we're walking around.
So it is set. So I hope
I was going to say perhaps maybe I should go early in the morning to you say you're going to park in an alleyway. Maybe I should go early in the morning and set up myself on the roof again to maybe if I see anybody moving around, I can hide myself up there and watch.
But they might
You
not
might.
attack there.
They might not attack there, and then we're one person down, Hasra, or you might spook them into not. I think it would be better if you're if I'm on one side of the vehicle and you're on the other side, so that we can protect it from both sides more.
I will bow to your guard knowledge, Hengist. Yes.
Because otherwise I'd have to guard the whole thing.
Maybe you could dress up as the people that are carrying the carriage with I don't know, maybe your sword sort of like hidden in it, And if we were to get attacked, they wouldn't be expecting all of a sudden you to draw a sword.
There would be no way Hengist would be able to wear his armour.
I think
And
that's
Hasra
going a little bit too far, Gulliver. They would expect her to have some sort of guards on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be carrying the carriage on my shoulder to suddenly drop it and run away. Well, not run away, but run into combat.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't attack the carriage if I saw Hengist.
And I think that is true, said Eliza, because maybe you should not walk close to the carriage, further away. But believe me, I think they have already tried and maybe even succeeded with you all on duty. It did not deter them the first time.
That is true. When she first appeared at the house, did they not fire at them? It's the time that was this. Yes, you saved the Gulliver, and Hengist was there to protect the people on the steps too. But they still attacked.
Okay, you discussed the final details, the finer details, sorry, of the plan, and you go over the map a few times. And the sedan chair was meant to be leaving at probably about 11 bells, and you sort of like agreed to meet up. Because you've still got the house opposite at about 9 bells or something, and then the hoax sedan chair will probably leave about sort of like 10 bells, an hour before. So that would be really putting them on the back foot if they thought they had another hour or an hour and a half to sort of like actually prepare, get in there. And like what Hasra said, you might actually find some people just climbing the roof, at that point. And you've actually got the room opposite, and there's enough of the night back for people to replenish spell points. I don't think you've cast... How many spell points have you both?
I'm down to just below half. I'm 7 out of 15.
Okay then. And what about you're?
I have half of my devotional pool is empty, but I haven't used any magic points.
So you can probably top up your 2 to the devotion pool from your magic pool if you wish to do that. And
I do.
And Bartleby, Gulliver, you probably got enough not to get. I didn't realise you had spent so much. What are you down to? 7 out of 15.
7 out of 15, yeah, because my teleport spell.
Yeah. So
then my 2 wards took a load.
Yeah. So you'll probably get up to about 12. Because you haven't got the full night's sleep, but you've got a bit of the morning as well. And I'm going.
And Hengist has spent 5 out of his 5 magic points as well.
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to the next morning.
Sorry, can I just say before Hasra goes to sleep, he'll go over to Mr. Pickles. It's not Mr. Pickles, but he'll go down across to Bartleby. Bartleby, my friend, I've taken a wound in my chest. Is there something you could perhaps do, or should I use my bandages for the moment?
I'm happy to treat your wounds. The power of Amriel.
It's just a small wound. It's nothing big. It's just, I would rather be safe in the knowledge that you have protected me, sir.
I'll go ahead and do the heal prayer if I can.
Is that devotion or
magic?
It's just folk magic. Yeah. Okay then. So yeah, you can cast that. That's not an issue, but you still have the choice whether or not you top up your devotion pool or get some more magic points back.
I'll just take the dip on my magic points because I want my devotional pool full.
Okay, cool. Sorry, it's been really annoying that Boris and Eliza's tokens have not actually been circular. They've
I
been,
like it how you've done Boris's token, so his actual beard comes out.
Yeah.
yeah. I thought, and then I suddenly remembered I couldn't get them around the right to right change. Boris was more an ellipsis, and then I suddenly remembered if you hold Alt down, it prevents them from snapping to things. Okay, then. So you sort of like get back to the guild house, and as you go down to the downstairs floor, Boris is there waiting for you, and he sort of like calls you over into his room downstairs, and sort of like leans into you, and even though you're all in his room and the door shut, he still whispers to you, and he sort of like says, I sent word to the tavern, reliable word. Please do not think I am an imbecile on this matter, but it would appear that Laszlo is no longer at the tavern. The innkeeper, a very reputable man, very well, and I must say his port is somewhat on the good side, even for a tavern. He said that he left last night. How strange is that? Last night, at about 8 bells. I did ask him where was he going, but the innkeeper did not know. But he said he looked dressed for travel, which I am thinking, dressing for travel could mean other things as well, if you understand my meaning. Maybe he was the assassin?
What type of person is he?
Well, he's a merchant.
Yeah, but is he tall? Is he short? Is he fat? Is he thin?
He's very lithe, very well. If you happen to know
Tell Hasra.
Well, he's about my height, which is about 5'10", and he's a lot fitter than me. He does not overindulge himself in the amount of port that I drink. There is one recognisable feature that I must say I am blessed not to have. And he sort of like looks around and then leans close.
Is it a clubbed foot?
No, his nose is somewhat elongated and comes to quite a sharp point, if you ask me. I do know in his younger days the people used to call him Birdface. Yes, not because he was full of feathers, mind you, because his nose looked more like a beak than a nose.
Can Hasra use his, I don't know, perception? No, is it perception to possibly look to try and remember who he saw on the roof, and if there's anything, because if he's even wearing a scarf.
Yeah, go for it.
I think we normally use insight for it.
Is it insight? Is it? Sorry.
Yeah. Insight is we normally use for remembering.
Here we go then.
No, it's all right. You can take minutes. I mean, the conversation is going on. It's not happening in less than 6 seconds.
I just stood there going.
Yeah.
When he's doing that, Gulliver's talking, he's saying,
When I was at the orphanage, we used to have somebody who we used to call Sheep. But that wasn't his real name. His real name was Bartholomew, but he had a stutter, so he kept on going, bar, bar, bar.
And is Bartleby laughing? Because if he is, I think Amriel might. And if Bartleby's just got his, Bartleby's got his hand.
Hengist is chuckling at that.
Hasra, you don't think you feel that the person who was on the roof was a lot more professional. If he was a merchant, then he's an assassin that poses as a merchant rather than a merchant that is an assassin.
Hasra, when you discovered the assassin on the roof, did you manage to injure him in any way?
Yes, I managed to get a spear thrust through his head, but they didn't seem to phase him at all, which was quite shocking to me, because normally when I put my spear in somebody's head, they'd fall. But I think it was a glancing blow.
Okay.
But because of the covering of his face, I could not.
But you might have left a mark of some sort on him,
Definitely.
which would be useful to bear in mind if we come across this Laszlo, or if we come across another one of the assassons. We would know that's the one we encountered last night.
I'm glad you believe what I said. Thank you, Hengist.
And what happens basically? I'm just going to move you to the sedan chair scene. So basically, what happens as you come out of the Boris's room? Somebody sort of like with the cowl sort of like pulled over, walking very elegantly and very slowly, and Boris says, good morning, Guildmistress. It is good to see you this morning. You don't think his acting is to top knock, and he sort of like bows a little bit, and you hear a voice that says follow, like that, and they go out, and the sedan chair you can see on the map is sort of like set up, and Boris and the Guildmistress climb in, and there's no doors on the side. Does that make sense? It's so they just walk straight in, but there is a curtain that goes across both sides. I don't know why the footmen are sticking two fingers up at everybody. I haven't.
Just to get them out of the way.
They all seem to be going.
They're holding the blanket thing, aren't they?
Well, they're meant to be. Well, I'm using as footmen. It actually says bards on them. So whether or not they've lost their flutes, I'm not sure. They look very strong, and soon they sort of like pick up the the sedan chair, and so it's literally a box with two long things that they're holding, and you hear a voice, you hear Boris's voice from inside that says, to the rising dough, please. And the footmen sort of like pick it up and then start heading down. So my first question:
what time is this happening?
1 hour before it's meant to, so it's 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So the first things first, that I would just like you to, I've just moved them out of the way. The first thing I need to know is if this is the setup for them. Whereabouts are you people going to position yourself as it goes around the streets?
Hengist will want to be sort of like on this side here.
Okay. Is that level with the gap, i.e. where the curtain is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a few meters out from that, but
yeah.
But there, and he's going to have his shield on his hand because the idea so he can ready to intercede at any moment. Yeah,
so these people will be going down like that. So Hengist would be sort of like here. What about everybody else? Is Hasra at the back?
Yeah, Hasra's at the back for the sole reason of looking around and looking forward past everything and the roof and everything else.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that you are all going to be looking out for danger at every point. What will happen with that is that it'll be a normal surprise roll. So you, at the appropriate moment, you will roll your perception, and if you get it then you saw it. If not, you were looking the other way, or so forth and so Bartleby, you're on the opposite side, level with the curtain.
Yeah. Ready to jump in if I need to actually cure poison successfully.
Okay. And Gulliver, where?
How fast is this thing moving?
They don't run with it. It's a sedate walk.
Okay, so I mean, Gulliver has a bit of a gippy leg, but he wants to take on more of the scout role, and he wants to be trying to keep ahead of the wagon, but sort of like almost like checking down, almost like he's part of the crowd, if you see what I mean, using his streetwise skill to sort of like move in between them, but he wants to be sort of like checking the.
Are you planning to actually go down alleyways and things like that?
Well, it's almost like if it was going to pass here, he would want to have been sort of like come up to the corner and just sort of like have a look down, see whether or not there's people acting suspiciously, like, you know, moving people around, or there's, you know, somebody on, you know, a balcony up there with a loaded crossbow, if you see what I mean.
So yeah, I don't think people moving around is probably.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people.
But what I'm saying is that if you got to that point, the sedan chair is still moving. So can you see that? What I'm saying is that by the time that happens, then the sedan chair will be level with you.
Right. But so if I'm sort of like just trying to keep ahead of
and
it,
you have a dicky leg.
Well, this is why I was asking how quick it was moving.
I think it's easy for you to keep ahead of it. I don't think it's as easy for you to, because for example, at this crossroads here where you're at the moment,
it's going to be two.
There's going to be two things for you to check. So you're either going to have to be a lot further ahead, or the sedan chair will pass you. So you might get to have a look down here, and then by the time you've crossed over, it would have definitely be past you and going down.
Okay. I'm going to start off by. I'm going to start off by being I'm going to start off by just being slightly ahead of it, on the right, but I'm looking for people panicking. I'm looking for people who all of a sudden sort of like see it and then move off quickly, as if, you know, it shouldn't be there.
Right. Okay. Right, okay then. So, for Bartleby and Hengist, just so you know, what will happen at each of the areas, each of the buildings, is that, and Boris has told you this, that the merchants will come out to demonstrate their wares. Normally these would be taken into Sedan, but they're really worried that somebody might see. So what they're going to do is act the Guildmistress as if she's very nonchalant and actually doesn't care about it, and maybe just pull the curtain back a bit and sort of like just look at it. Boris is really keen that nothing enters the Sedan. You know, and sort of like they sort of like said that they'll wave them away or say good or something like that. They Boris has said that Eliza will keep words to a minimum, because they think the more they say, the more chance there is of actually
less is more.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
So what we just so we know. Because obviously I didn't know how you were going to do. So Bartleby and Hengist, if one of you decides to be odd and the other one to be even, then as we get to the locations, I'll roll to see which side they come at. Okay, so it's completely random. Shops will be on different sides. So who is going to be the odd side?
I'll let Bartleby choose.
I take odd.
Okay then.
I'll leave them then.
So the odd side would be Bartleby. I'm assuming that Hengist, your shield would be armed, but your sword probably
Sword is sheathed,
yeah.
but shield is on and ready.
I'm assuming, Hasra, that you're walking around with your spear
Spear in my
out.
hand as a walking stick, in a sense. Yes.
Bartleby and Gulliver.
Gulliver has nothing out.
Okay, and Bartleby.
Bartleby has his club out, his walking club.
He's walking club. How big is this club?
I mean, he's a not dexterous individual, and sometimes when he stumbles,
It sounds like it's more like a staff.
Yeah.
Okay then, so you set off, and trade starts really early in Lindo. So by the time you get to 10 o'clock when you set off, the streets are busy. There's people milling around. Every now and again there's the city guard are out and about, and it's a nice day despite it being autumn, and there's some of that autumnal sunshine out, so the air is quite cold and chilly, but there is the sun and there's no wind and it's not wet or anything like that, and everything seems really sort of like positive, and you sort of like head out, and you roughly remember the way to these places from the map, and the first place that you're going to is a bakery called the Rising Dough. So I'm just going to roll a D6 at this point. To see which side it comes out. It's coming out as 4, so it's even. So it's your side, Hengist. And when you get to the bakery called the Rising Dough, you notice that there's several people stood outside, and they're all in their very white gear and very smart and everything, and there's obviously the baker, rather rotund gentleman with a sort of like a pork pie hat over to one side, and as the sedan chair sort of like arrives, he sort of like bows and sort of like says in this loud voice, "Good morning, Miss Grand Mistress, Guildmistress. Welcome to the Rising Dough, the place of the best bread in Lindo. Please taste my wares." And goes like and sort of like a lady sort of like steps close to the curtain with the bread. And just to let you know, I'll just keep talking until if anybody wants to do anything, then just interrupt me. And so like comes close to and she sort of like holds it like this, and it seems to be like a silver platter with a freshly baked loaf on it. And you notice that the curtain opens slightly, and Boris's hand comes out and takes the bread and sort of like pulls it into the sedan, without moving the curtains. And then you hear a muffled voice sort of like saying, "This bread is good," like this. And the baker sort of says, "Oh, thank you, kind Guildmistress. We hope to enter into the guild and have you as a loyal customer. We have been here for..." And all of a sudden you just hear from inside like that, and as the baker is continuing to talk, the footmen sort of like pick up the sedan chair, and everybody starts moving off, and the baker says, "Come back any time." And then just Hasra, just as you go by, you hear the baker turn to what obviously must be his wife and says, "Well, I think that went very well. I think we're well in here." As they go down. So the next place that you come to is the perfumery, called
Jasmine's.
called the Sweet Lavender, and that will be on the 6, so it's at your side
Even side again.
once again. And as you come across this one, it's a very different clientele outside. And Bartleby, just roll an insight for me. And you can augment it with your streetwise skill.
Oh, yes. Augmenting. Let's get an augment going.
Special button.
Special button.
I must say thank you. I think it was Zen Burning that yesterday gave me the code for the button, so we are using it tonight. Oh yeah, there's this rather fine dressed lady, and she seems to have other ladies that are finely dressed, holding trays with perfume bottles on, with this, the one with the squeezy bit, that's like that. But the thing that you notice, Bartleby, is that some of these women look familiar to you, and you do recognize them, that some of them are, shall we say, more ladies of the night rather than ladies of the perfumery business. They are very front and center with various assets, and are definitely there's more on display than you think a good religious true lady should have out. And the carriage sort of like pulls up, and the chief lady, who seems to be very ample in certain areas, sort of like says, "Welcome to the Sweet Lavender, Guildmistress. From here you will be able to taste and smell the exotic, the illustrious, the demanding, the smells of pure passion and aggression and lust. Please consider buying anything and taking it and allowing us to be part of your ample guild merchant business." And one of the ladies sort of like walks seductively, almost as if it's like a catwalk. So her legs are crossing over, that gets her posterior to swing in that certain way, and she gets closer to the curtain, and all of a sudden you see Boris's hand comes out and goes like that, as it is a stop, and then you hear a voice from inside: "We will not be needing perfumes such as this, Jasmine." Like that. And there's a real edge to this word, Jasmine. And she's just all like this, like this, and goes, "Ladies, back inside." And the whole sedan moves off once more. And the next place is
still looking back at the lady.
Yeah, who's just sort of like wink and separate their shoulders slightly, and then we come to the tiny stitches. 4, it's on your side again, Hengist, and out when you get to this place, there's nobody there at all, and the sedan sort of like comes to a halt, and everybody's just sort of like waiting, and all of a sudden this rather portly man comes. Night, Garish, thank you for watching so far. Night to you. Garish Lee says good night. Sorry, can't stay awake. This rather portly man sort of like comes rushing out. He's very red in the face, and he's like, we will be honoured to be part of the guild. I have got fresh breeches for you. And you suddenly think, breeches for the guild mistress? And he brings out a pair of what appears to be crushed velvet breeches. They are very velvet-like, almost like corduroy-like. And you notice that they've been sewn with stripes of various colours. Hengist, let's make a perception roll for me.
Nope.
Yeah, and
just like them.
you sort of like think, wow, these are well made. And he sort of like comes up and there, he's sort of like, fine breeches for the Guildmistress. And then he goes, for the Guildmaster. And he thinks again. And he goes, for anybody who would like them. And the curtain parts at your side, Hengist, and a hand comes out that you recognise as Boris's hand, and the tailor. And as he comes past you, Hengist, you can see that he's so red and sweaty. He's obviously been running from the back of the shop. He probably didn't realise that they were coming, and he sort of like quickly sort of like folds them up and holds them out like this, and you see Boris's hands come out and grab them and bring them in. And he sort of like says, I hope you will accept that and allow us into the guild. And you hear a voice from inside that says, we will consider it. And then they all start moving off. And you're about halfway between the tiny stitches and the sugary mouse when Bartleby and Hengist make perception rolls for me.
Angus is going to...
Well, it's 2 minutes to 10, so if you're not going to...
He's just going to use a luck point.
The session is about to finish.
I'll use all 3 of my luck.
Worse.
What about you, Bartleby?
I may as well.
Reverse it.
Reverse.
Yeah.
Oh,
Way.
better.
At that, just as about halfway in between, and the reason you needed a perception roll, by the way, is because of all the background noise coming out. You hear from the carriage, you hear a scream. The scream is that of a woman. Bartleby, what would you like to do?
Coming from within the sedan carriage,
Yeah.
I'm going to launch myself in that direction to try and cure any new poison that has been unleashed. Target.
Yeah, so you sort of like dive forward and you whip the curtain back to see what's happening, and the following scene greets your eyes. Down on the floor seems to be a pair of stripy breeches that you haven't seen before, and they seem to be out on the floor, and down on almost like half in, half out of them seems to be a rearing snake. It's very much like, it seems to have very bright colours on it, very yellow, red and orange and black, and you can see from the posture that it's probably just struck out and is sort of like rearing back. And on the back you can see that the slumped form of the Guildmistress in the cowl, etc., is sort of like slumped over to one side as if she's tried to get away and sort of like gone towards Boris, and Boris has actually got his legs up on the chair, out the way, and he's sort of like clutching them, and he turns, he sees you there, Bartleby, as the snake is. The snake must be about almost like about a foot and a half long. It's not a huge snake, but it's very brightly coloured, and it's got definitely got fangs. And the Boris sort of like, he's looking down and he sort of looks at it, and he looks again at you, and he just says to you, "It's bit her!" And that's where we will leave the session tonight. Ready for probably one more session next week to hopefully finish it off. So we will join it at this point next week with Bartleby confronted by a pair of garish breeches and a poisonous snake, and maybe even another dead body on their hands. So yeah, well done everyone. Hope you enjoyed tonight's escapades and adventures. Anybody got any announcements or anything that they would like to say?
I have not.
Right.
Me.
Well, you could say, are you playing Star Wars on Tuesday?
It's always undecided until right at the last minute, because it all depends on what other people are doing. But sometimes we play Star Wars.
It's really funny because when you're playing
something on Tuesday.
Yeah, because when you're playing, I never hear all the audio, and I often have you on in the background when I'm doing something else, and all I can hear is Chuggerwugger complaining about Longshank's tanking. So all of a sudden he says something like,
not the best
tank in the world. Best tank.
All of a sudden
not
he
the
says,
best tank.
he's pulled another bloody lot. Why is he pulling that?
Why is he not
All you hear is Longshank saying, "I only have one torch, it's on cooldown."
per the cooldown?
It's hilarious. Mr. Pickles.
Oh, that's what we're going for.
Mr. Pickles, are you playing anything or running any games?
No announcements from me.
Oh, and not streaming anymore.
I'm trying to get a job.
Yeah, well, remember, your job could be streaming.
They're overrated, Mr. Pickles.
Yeah.
Jobs are very overrated.
And he's not referred to as Longshanks when we play Star Wars. He's referred to as subscriber shanks.
No, I heard that, and it was just...
No, it was in the newspapers and everything.
It hit quite wide, that, yeah.
It was sort of... I think at one point Chug said something like, "We're all playing it how we said we were going to play it. It's only that somebody has decided to play it differently than mine."
Right.
Yeah,
I subscribe to get the new stuff when it comes out next
Yeah,
month.
there was some new stuff coming out, so he subscribed. So now
But we can't play the new stuff.
like 800 and we're level 4.
No, that's not. I'm only a few levels ahead. It's fine.
Darth says, "Yeah, jobs are so depressing. They are, Mr. Pickles. I wouldn't go for one. And no sooner do you have one, you want rid of it."
True.
Very true.
Yeah, so
No,
right.
I love my job.
So I will be back on some streaming tomorrow at 2:00 for some ESL, Elder Scrolls Online, when we will continue to try to make a necromantic or a necrotic healer. He's doing...
Enabled.
Say again, sorry?
Will drops be enabled?
Yeah, drops will be enabled. I think it's tomorrow as well, and I think it's for everybody. And then do come along throughout the week. So when I'll be playing a range of games from Black Desert Online, Overwatch, maybe a new simulation game as well. And so do come along and see that. Remember, you can follow me on a range of social media sites. Just look for Inwils and you'll find me, apart from Instagram, which is Inwils1159. And don't forget to nip over to my YouTube channel, where you will be able to subscribe to me, and then you will be able to see not only this video when it goes up, but all the others as well. Now, just before we go, can you all pull a face for me, please? Players pull a face now. So I've got it all ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Right, that's fine. It's all right. Longshanks just did a normal one, but it's all right because all the rest of the time
That's why I did nothing.
So
You missed it. I pulled a brilliant face earlier on near the beginning in Wales.
It's all right. I've still got it because I got all the videos, so I'll go back and grab
Just
that
cut
one.
him out and just put a different one.
Yeah. So do come back next week. Thursday we should be playing the final episode of The White Death, 1980 agents, exploring a deserted research station in the Arctic.
It was just a dream.
Yeah, and so do come along and see that. And don't forget, if you've really enjoyed Mythras, then there is a monthly podcast where this month you can hear myself and Mr. Pickles talking about modules and the person of the creation of one of the modules that we have played in the past. So it's well worth going and checking out.
Treasure.
Until then, I would like to say to each and every one of you, have lots of fun. And whatever you do, make sure you role play it well. Okay, till next time, have fun, and we'll catch you all later. So, bye. Say goodbye.
Bye.
This video is sponsored by the Design Mechanism, the makers of Mythras. Mythras is a registered trademark of the Design Mechanism Inc., used with permission. All rights reserved.